We will learn about the ninja technique to clear UPSC in this particular lecture. Okay, so let us understand the reality of hard work in UPSC. So UPSC is a very different exam as compared to other competitive exams. Okay, other competitive exams like CSR, NET, state PCS, etc. Okay, there are many competitive exams, right? Railway exam, state PCS, CSR, NET, banking exam. Okay, so there are many competitive exams, police exam. Okay, so many competitive exams are there in the Indian sphere. Okay, in the Indian context. But why is UPSC very different from all these competitive exams? So we will understand in the upcoming slides that why UPSC is very different as compared to other competitive exams. Okay, you might not be knowing, but let me tell you that the level of education in India has been declining ever since 1985. Okay, so after 1985, the level of education in India, it is declining. The education level in India has been declining ever since 1985. Why it is declining? Because the governments used to say that the students are feeling burdened because of lot of syllabus, a very vast syllabus, very big syllabus, and the students are getting burdened. So let us reduce the syllabus. So ever since 1985, the level of education in India has been falling. It is declining. Okay, so level of education in India has been declining ever since 1985. When my father was studying in graduation and post graduation, okay, when my father was there in graduation and post graduation, he tells me all of the incidences that took place during his graduation and post graduation. Okay, so when my father was studying in graduation and post graduation, there was no internal mark system. So there were no internal marks in graduation and post graduation when my father was studying. Okay, so there were no freebies of marks ever given to the students. Okay, so I call it freebies. Okay, these internal marks have actually spoiled the habit of the students. Okay, these internal marks actually make the student very lazy, because they think that 40 is the cutoff, 40 marks is the cutoff, let us have 20 marks in the internal assessment and let us take another 20 marks out of 80 and we will just pass. Okay, even after taking 1/4 of the required marks. So such are the things. So when my father was studying in graduation, post graduation, during those days there was no system of internal marks. So what was the thing? 100 marks paper was to be given, 100 marks worth paper was to be given, and out of 100 marks in written examination, out of 100 you had to score 40 marks. Okay, only then you could pass, otherwise you would be failed. Okay, such was the system when my father was there in graduation and post graduation, and there was no internal marks. But what is the system nowadays? 20 marks you get as internals, which are kind of freebies only. Okay, very easy to take. 20 marks internal marks, it is very easy to take. Okay, and another 20 marks you get by writing the paper. Out of 80 you have to score minimum 20 so that you pass in the examination, because these freebies of internal marks are such that everyone gets out of 20, 19, 18, everyone gets such marks. Okay, there is no person on earth who gets 5 marks out of 20 in internal assessment. Okay, no one is there. Okay, hardly anyone gets 5 marks, 3 marks, 2 marks out of 20 in internal assessment, because those are very kind of easily achievable marks. Those internal assessment marks are very easily accessible marks. Okay, you can copy the assignment of your friend. Okay, you can copy the assignment of your friend and get the internal marks. Okay, no one is going to ask you from where did you solve this particular problem of the assignment. Okay, you can copy the assignment from your friend, and certainly you can get the 20 out of 19, 20 out of 18. Okay, such internal assessment marks you can easily get nowadays. Okay, so they are kind of freebies. Okay, we call it revdi in Hindi. Okay, what are freebies? Freebies means revdis. Okay, so there was no freebies of marks ever given to the student when my father was doing graduation and post graduation. There were no internal marks, so there was no freebies of marks ever given to the students. Okay, so there was no freebies of marks. Even practical used to happen very seriously, with the external asking each and every student to take readings in front of him or her. So even the practicals which used to happen during those days. If you ever ask your grandfather, grandmother about the education in India during their days, okay, during your grandfather, grandmother, or your mother, father, during those days, if you ask them that what was the level of education during your days, okay, so your mother will say that I was the only person who had passed. Okay, your father or mother will say that I was the only person who passed in the entire Nagpur district or entire Wardha district or entire Delhi Union Territory. I was the only person who passed. Okay, in the entire Delhi Union Territory or any other district. So I was the only person who passed. Rest everyone failed. So the ratio of passing was only hardly 1%, 2%. So I was the only person who passed in the entire college. Such were the statistics during those days. Such was the level of education in those days. Okay, so everyone had to study in order to pass. There was no freebies of marks ever available, that you can get some internal marks and then you will just skip the entire syllabus and you will hardly take 20 out of 80 and you will pass in the examination, or 23 out of 80 and you are passed in the examination. Such useless things, such rubbish things never happened in those days. Okay, so even practical used to happen very seriously in those days. Nowadays in 11th and 12th, the practicals are just for taking freebies. Okay, the practical marks, out of every college gives out of 30 out of 30 internal marks in practicals in the 11th and 12th. And in the graduation also you get practical marks just like that. You can pass in the practicals even if you don't know the aim of the practical. Okay, some of the students nowadays, when we take viva of the students in colleges, so in physics practical, not even a single student is able to answer the viva questions properly, and some of the students are even on the extreme edge. Some of the students can't even tell the aim of the experiment. Such is the situation. Okay, so even such students are passing in practicals nowadays, and we have to pass them. We have no other option, because the students in itself have become so lazy that if we don't pass them, then they will keep failing. So in order to reduce the burden of the college and university, we have to pass them, unfortunately. Okay, because they are useless fellows. So even practicals used to happen very seriously, with external asking each and every student to take readings in front of him or her. This is during the 1980s era. Okay, this is during the 1980s era. Even practicals used to happen very seriously, and external used to go to each and every student and ask him, okay, okay, take the reading just right now in front of me. Take the reading right now in front of me. I will check whether you are taking the readings properly or not. And then he used to assign the marks based on that, whether the student was able to take the reading properly or not, and all those skills, practical skills that the student shows in front of the examiner. Based on that, the examiner used to give marks to the student. Okay, unlike today, where the external comes 5 hours after the practical is done. Everyone has copied the practicals already. Okay, everyone has copied the practicals from the record already. Everyone has copied the readings also, and the external is coming 2 or 3 hours after the practical is written by the students, and he is just asking viva just casually. Okay, in within 1 or 2 minute 30-second viva, he will just tell you, okay, go now, you have told the answer, go. Okay, or someone, if he or she is not able to tell the answer, then he will shout at him, why are you doing post graduation, why are you doing graduation? Okay, you are useless fellow, you don't know even the aim of the experiment, then why are you doing graduation, post graduation? Such are the things which the external examiner will ask nowadays. But in those days, everyone was serious with studies. Okay, every student was very much serious with studies in those days. So in the 1980s era, the level of students was such that the students used to take the readings in reality, and they used to show the readings to the external, that we have taken the reading in such and such manner, and in front of the external sometimes they used to take the readings. Okay, so even practicals used to happen very seriously in those days. After 1985, the level of education began to fall. Okay, so after 1985, what happened? The level of education, it started to decline. Okay, the governments were responsible for this. Students started getting lazy. Okay, so students nowadays have a lot of free time to make girlfriend, boyfriend. Okay, useless stuff, time pass girlfriend, boyfriend. That too, not serious relationship. If someone has serious relationship, then that is not a waste of time, because you are getting emotional support because of that serious relationship. But if someone is just passing the time, okay, I will just come on date with you and I will just pass my time like that, I will not study, I will just go on date with the girlfriend, boyfriend, and I will just pass my time like that. So such students are increasing day by day. Okay, I call it useless love. Okay, that is not at all love, actually. That is just a kind of what we can say, ways to pass the time. Okay, a lot of free time is there, so let's pass the time. Okay, so such things are there. So after 1985, what happened? Level of education began to fall. Students started getting lazy. Okay, so my father tells that the 2012 7th standard Hindi textbook of English medium state board. Okay, so my father told me once that in 2012 the 7th standard Hindi textbook he saw. Okay, so in 7th standard, the Hindi textbook which he saw, the textbook was of English medium, obviously. So in English medium, Hindi language is a third language. Okay, in English medium state board, Hindi language is third language. So he saw the 7th standard Hindi textbook in 2012 of state board. Okay, and he told me that this 7th standard Hindi textbook of 2012, it is easier than the 1963 third standard textbook. Okay, in the 1963, when he was studying at school, when my father was studying at school, he tells me that the third standard Hindi textbook of English medium, it was better. The third standard textbook was of much higher level as compared to 2012 7th standard textbook. Okay, so 1963 third standard textbook was of much higher level and much more kind of, we can say, giving the student deep thinking skills. Okay, so third standard textbook of 1963 was giving the students much more as compared to 7th standard 2012 textbook of Hindi. Okay, so such is the level of education declination. Okay, so the IQ level of third standard student in 1963, the IQ level of third standard student in 1963, it is better than the IQ level of 7th standard student in 2012. And if you consider the IQ level of 2023 student, if you compare the IQ level of 2023 student, then in 2023 the IQ level of even a 11th standard student is lower than this. Okay, in 2012 it was the 7th standard student IQ, which was equal to 1963 third standard student IQ. But nowadays, if you compare in 2023, the IQ of 11th standard student is even lower than the 2012 7th standard student. Okay, so 11th standard students IQ level is also gone now. Okay, so such is the situation in 2023. Same is the case with other subjects. Okay, this is not only the case with Hindi textbook. He compared Hindi textbook, but some other textbook are also like that. For example, science textbook. If you compare science textbook, then the science textbook of third standard 1963. Okay, 1963 third standard science textbook was better than 2012 seventh standard science textbook. Such is the decline of education, decline in the level of education. Same is the case with other subjects. Same is the case with CBSE also. This hasn't happened alone to state board. Okay, this particular thing, this hasn't alone happened to the state board only. This has happened even to the CBSE. Okay, same is the case with other subjects. Same is the case with CBSE. That's why my father took the decision to put me in ICSE board. Okay, that's why from the childhood itself, my father took the decision to put me in ICSE board from the KG itself. So my father, what did he do? He knew that the education level is declining, the state board level is declining, the CBSE level is declining. So that's why my father took the decision to put me in the ICSE board from the KG itself. Okay, he didn't want to destroy my base. Okay, so he wanted to save my base. Okay, base level. Okay, so he wanted to have me a strong base. So that's why he put me in the ICSE board from the KG itself, so that my base becomes stronger, my studies base becomes stronger. That's why I am an all-rounder. You guys keep asking, right? How are you able to teach so many subjects? Okay, why do you have so many subjects of knowledge? How do you have so many subjects of knowledge? Okay, we have seen teachers who have only single subject knowledge. Okay, and they are happy with that subject only. They can't teach any other subject. Okay, but how are you able to teach so many subjects? So I am able to teach so many subjects because I was in the ICSE board from the KG itself, and I remained in the ICSE board up to the 12th. Okay, I remained in the ICSE board up to the 12th standard. Okay, so that's why I am an all-rounder. I am able to teach so many subjects because of that only, because I was in the ICSE board. So that's why my base is very strong. So that's why I am able to teach so many subjects. And ICSE is the only board which wasn't compromised with time. Okay, so ICSE is the only board whose level didn't fall with time. ICSE is the only board whose level didn't fall. It didn't fall with time. CBSE and state board's level, they keep on falling. With each passing year, the state board and CBSE levels are falling day by day. Okay, with each passing year. So ICSE was the only board whose level wasn't compromised. Okay, ICSE was the only board whose level wasn't compromised with time. So as the students got more and more lazy with passing time, after 1985, as students got more and more lazy with passing time, what happened? The level of every exam, including competitive exam, began to fall. So the level of every exam, including competitive, it began to fall as the students got more and more lazy with passing time. So every examination, be it competitive, like CSR net, state PCS, railway exam, banking exam, every competitive exam level began to fall. Okay, after 1985. But UPSC is the only exception to this trend of falling level. Okay, but UPSC is an exception. It is the only examination whose level didn't fall at all. Okay, its level never failed. UPSC's level never failed. Instead, UPSC's level is increasing day by day. If you look at 1991 UPSC PYQ, prelims PYQ, 1991 prelims PYQ of UPSC, if you look, you will laugh at the level. Okay, 1991 prelims PYQ UPSC, if you ever have a look at that particular paper, 1991 prelims UPSC PYQ, so you will laugh at the level. Okay, you will laugh. You will say that if such would have been the level, I would have easily qualified prelims. Okay, you will say that if such would have been the level today, then I would have easily qualified prelims. Okay, but if you compare today's prelims, if you compare 2021 to 2023 prelims, you will cry actually. 2021 to 2023 prelims or 2020 prelims, 2019 prelims, if you look at the level, you will actually cry. Okay, and 1991 prelims level, if you ever have a look at that, if you ever have a look at the 1991 prelims paper of UPSC, you will actually laugh. You will laugh. Okay, and today's prelims level, you will cry. Okay, so UPSC is the only exception to this trend of falling level. It is the only exception to this trend of falling level of examination. Rest all the other competitive exams level have fallen with time. Okay, CSR nets level fell with time, state PCS level fell with time. Okay, your state set examination, okay, Kerala state examination, Maharashtra state examination, their level also fell with time. But UPSC is the only examination whose level didn't fail, and it actually improved instead. Okay, so UPSC is the only exam whose level is improving day by day. So its level is improving day by day. It's getting even more tougher day by day. So its level is also improving day by day, and its level is improving day by day, and its questions are getting even more tougher and tougher. Questions are getting tougher and tougher day by day. Okay. However, there are some exceptions to this trend. Okay, the trend has been shown on the next slide. What are the exceptions to this trend of increasing level? What are the exceptions to this trend of getting tougher? Let us look at the trend. Okay, so trend has been shown on the next slide. Now, subjects in UPSC which are getting tougher with every passing year. Let us look at the subjects in UPSC which are getting tougher with every passing year. So GS, okay, General Studies mains, okay, GS mains, GS mains, prelims, and humanities optional. Okay, so humanities optional level improved. Okay, GS mains level improved, prelims level improved with every passing year. They are getting tougher, and so these subjects are getting tougher day by day. And what are the subjects whose level remain constant? Subjects in UPSC whose level remain constant. Instead, the level fell in 2012 a little bit when in 2012 the syllabus was cut down. Okay, so level fell in 2012, but is constant from 2013 onwards. Okay, from 2013 onwards, the level is constant. The level fell a little bit in 2012, but more or less remain constant from 2013 onwards. Okay, so subjects in UPSC whose level has remained constant. Like, let us look at those subjects. So science optionals and engineering optionals. Okay, science optionals and engineering optionals are such optionals whose level has remained constant. Okay, science optionals and engineering optionals, their level has remained constant with time. Okay, and in 2012 there was a little bit decline, but after 2012, from 2013 onwards, the level is constant. But the level of GS mains, prelims, humanities optional, the level of all these papers, it is increasing. Okay, it is getting tougher day by day. It is increasing day by day. Level is increasing day by day. Okay, what is the learning from all of the above discussions? So what can you learn from all of the above discussions? So only a student who can work as hard as the student of pre 1985 era. So a modern day student, a 2023 student, a 2024 student who can work, okay, who can work as hard as a student of pre 1985 era. Okay, a student of 2023 2024 who can work as hard as a student of pre 1985 era. Okay, let's suppose 1981 student. Okay, so only a student who can work as hard as pre 1985 era student, he or she will qualify UPSC. Okay, only a student who can work as hard as a student of pre 1985 era, only that person will qualify UPSC. Otherwise, you will not qualify UPSC. This I can give you in written. This I can give you in written. So only a student who can work as hard as a student of pre 1985 era will qualify UPSC. Otherwise, it is impossible. Okay. So things to do like a pre 1985 era student. So in pre 1985 era, what was the case? There were no mobile phones. In pre 1985 era, there were no mobile phones. There was no internet. Okay, there was no games like PUBG. There were no games like PUBG, Free Fire. Okay, so all these distractions were not at all there in pre 1985 era. Okay, in pre 1985 era, all these distractions were not at all there. Okay, so what you have to do? You have to follow the pre 1985 era students routine. Pre 1985 era student routine you have to follow. So limited use of Instagram and Facebook. Limited use of Instagram and Facebook. If possible, just uninstall it. Okay, just uninstall Facebook and Instagram if you don't have control on yourself. Some of the students say that we will control ourselves. Okay, we will not use Instagram and Facebook much, but we don't want to delete the account. Okay, we don't want to delete our account on Instagram and Facebook, but we don't want to delete the account on Instagram and Facebook, but still we want to use it. Okay, but in a limited manner. We want to use them. We want to use social media in a limited manner. So you can use social media in a limited manner, but only if you have your control on your nerves, control on yourself. Okay, if you don't have control on yourself, then you will fall prey to the Instagram reels. Okay, 3 hours will be lost. Okay, 3 hours easily lost without you even knowing. Okay, 3 hours easily lost without you even knowing that you have lost 3 hours. Then you will repent. After that, what happens? You repent that I lost 3 hours. What does it mean by repent? Repent means, okay, so you repent after you lose the 3 hours in Instagram. If after you lose the 3 hours in Instagram reels, you lose the 3 hours in Facebook, you lost 3 hours binge watching your favorite show. Okay, so you repent after that I lost so much of time. Okay, so instead of repenting, just uninstall this stuff if you don't have control on yourself. But if you have control on yourself, suppose some of the students have control on themselves, so what do they do? They use the Instagram and Facebook in a limited manner. Okay, so those students have control on themselves. So those of you who have control on yourself, they can have Instagram and Facebook on their mobile and they can use it in a limited manner. Okay, but if you don't have control on yourself, then just uninstall. Okay, so that is the suggestion number 1. Limit hours of watching TV. Okay, so limited hours of watching TV. For example, if Indian Idol is coming on Sony TV, okay, suppose Indian Idol is coming on Sony TV, then what can you do? You can actually skip the Indian Idol entire show, because if you start watching even the first 10 minutes of Indian Idol, okay, if you watch first 10 minutes of Indian Idol, then you will end up watching the entire show. Even if you watch it for 10 minutes, okay, even if you watch TV reality show for 10 minutes, the TV reality show is made in such a manner. It is made in such a manner that you should keep watching for the 2 hours. They make it in such a manner. They make it interesting. Okay, so even if you watch it for 10 minutes, you will end up watching the entire 2 hours. Okay, even if you watch it for 10 minutes, you will end up watching it for 2 hours. Okay, because you will have the curiosity, to watch it. Okay, so you should limit the hours of watching TV. Okay, you can watch OTT series. Okay, you can watch OTT series like Netflix, etc. OTT series on Netflix, Amazon Prime. OTT series are there. A lot of OTT series are there on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Okay, and also on other platforms as well. Okay, along with Netflix and Amazon Prime, there are other platforms as well where OTT series are available. Okay, so you can watch them, but do not watch the propaganda OTT. Okay, do not watch BJP propaganda OTT. Do not watch. Okay, because it will make you zombie. Okay, it will make the democracy into a mobocracy. Okay, mobocracy. So except BJP propaganda series, you can watch any OTT series, but only on Sundays. Okay, keep this in mind that you should watch only on Sundays. Okay, and if you watch this, then what will happen? You will become this. If you keep watching these things, okay, if you keep watching these things, then you will become a rioter. Okay, so don't watch it. So watch OTT series, but only on Sundays, except propaganda OTT. So except propaganda OTT, watch every OTT if you want, but only on Sundays. Okay, only on Sundays, and that too not for more than 2 hours. Okay, you should limit that. Not more than 2 hours. Okay, I will watch it for 2 hours and then I will quit. I will watch it for 2 hours and then I will quit it. Okay, such should be the self-control. Okay, such should be the self-control. You should take a gap. Okay, I am not telling you to stop taking gaps. Okay, I am not telling you to stop taking gaps. You should take gap, but a maximum of 3 gaps every 60 days. Okay, so every 60 days you should take only 3 gaps. Okay, in the 60 days time period, that is 2 months time period, in every 2 months time period you can take a maximum of 3 gaps. Okay, in every 2 months you can take a maximum of 3 gaps. Okay, you have to count these 3 gaps deliberately and control them. Okay, you should count these 3 gaps and you should control them. Okay, do not take more than 3 gaps. Okay, every 60 days do not take more than 3 gaps. I am telling you. Okay, more than 3 gaps you will end up losing UPSC. Okay, if you take more than 3 gaps every 60 days, then you will end up losing UPSC. Okay, you will not qualify even the prelims. So you have to count these gaps. Okay, that I have taken gap on such and such date. Suppose on 11th of August you took the first gap. Then second gap, you can take the second gap on 17th of September. Okay, then the third gap, when should you take the third gap? The third gap should be on suppose 21st of October. So such should be your timetable. Okay, so 3 gaps every 60 days. 3 gaps you can take, but every 60 days you can take 3 gaps. You have to count these gaps and mark them in the calendar. Okay, 3 gaps which you have taken in 60 days, you have to count those gaps and deliberately control them, and you have to mark them on the calendar. Mark these gaps on the calendar. Okay, mark them on the calendar. Because if you don't mark them on the calendar, then your brain will say, okay, if you don't mark all these gaps on the calendar, then your brain will say that let's take a gap every week. Okay, let's take a gap every week. Your brain will say that let's take a gap every week. Every Sunday let us take a gap. And many of the lazy students take a gap every Sunday. And they end up losing UPSC. Okay, they are out of the race. Those who take gap every Sunday. Okay, those of you who take the entire day gap. Okay, let me tell you, those who take entire day gap every Sunday, they can never qualify. Okay, so those of you who take entire day gap every Sunday, okay, entire day gap means 0 hours of studies. Okay, 0 hours of studies on Sunday. Those of you who do such things, they can never qualify UPSC. Okay, they can never qualify UPSC, and this is a harsh reality. Okay, this is a harsh reality. So you have to take the gap, but 3 gaps every 60 days. Okay, only 3 gaps every 60 days. 3 gaps every 60 days. Every 60 days, only 3 gaps. Not more than that. Okay, but never go with the strategy of 0 gaps all 365 days. Okay, So I will not take gap for the entire year. Some of the students go to the extreme end. They say that I will not take any gap for the entire year. So in that case you will fall ill, okay, because your mind will be, you will feel burnout, you will feel burned out. What does it mean by burned out? Burned out means you will feel a lot of restlessness, okay. So because of that restlessness it will adversely affect your performance, okay, it will affect your performance in an adverse way, okay. So never go with the strategy of zero gaps all 365 days, otherwise you will not be able to clear UPSC. Let me tell you this very clearly, okay. So you will fall ill otherwise, okay, if you do not take any gap at all, if you do not take any gap at all for all the year, entire year, for the entire year you do not take any gap, suppose, okay. So all the 365 days you kept working all the 365 days, then what will happen? If you keep working all the 365 days, then you will fall ill, okay, you will fall ill and you will face mental health issues, okay, you will face mental health issues, okay. So that's why you should take a gap, but only 3 gaps, okay, only 3 gaps every 60 days, okay. So not more than this. You can take it to the maximum level 4, okay, a maximum 4, but not more than that. A maximum 4 is allowed, okay, a maximum gap of 4 days every 60 days, okay. A maximum gap of 4 days every 60 days, okay. So a maximum gap of 4 days every 60 days is allowed. A minimum of 3 gaps and a maximum of 4 gaps, okay. So a minimum of 3 gaps every 60 days and a maximum of 4 gaps every 60 days, not more than this. Anything more than this, okay, anything more than this, out of competition, you are out of competition. If you take any even single gap more than this, even if you take one gap more than this, okay, suppose you take 5 days gap, 6 days gap every 60 days, then you are out of the competition. Let me tell you, you are out of the competition, okay. So thank you very much. Hopefully you got the meaning of hard work in UPSC.